From bringing guns to the locker room, to a coach getting choked after he gave some well-meaning advice, here are some of the biggest scandals in NBA history, starting with Donald Sterling's questionable leadership skills. Back in 1981, Sterling bought the San Diego Clippers for $13 million, and he promptly moved them to Los Angeles 3 years later. But the NBA wasn't really vibing with him. The league was already thinking about firing him in 1982 for not paying his creditors and players on time. But he agreed to sell the team, and the NBA backed off, only for him to stay on and ruin the team for the next 33 years. Under Sterling's leadership, the Clippers managed to lose 50-plus games a season for 22 seasons. They even managed to lose 70 games in a single season, scraping together a measly 12 wins in 86-87. It's like he was playing some twisted version of who can make their team suck the most. And if that wasn't bad enough, Sterling had a habit of heckling his own players, particularly Baron Davis from courtside. Talk about tough love, right? But wait, it gets worse. Sterling's biggest mistake was his racist comments that were leaked to the press. In a recording from September 2013, Sterling was heard berating his mistress V. Stiviano for posting a photo on Instagram with Magic Johnson. Sterling was so bothered by the fact that she associated with black people that he told her not to bring them to his games. Yeah, let that sink in. The Clippers didn't take this sitting down. Instead of boycotting Game 4 of their opening round series against the Warriors, they decided to protest by wearing their shirts inside out during their pre-game huddle. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver wasn't having any of it. He banned Sterling for life and slapped him with a $2.5 million fine.
I am banning Mr. Sterling for life from any association with the Clippers organization or the NBA.
But hey, at least he didn't try to kill anyone, right? The same can't be said for Kermit Washington. Back in the day, NBA players were a lot tougher than they are now. They didn't just talk smack and push each other around. Nope, they straight up threw punches and got into bench-clearing brawls. But that all changed thanks to the infamous Kermit Washington-Rudy Tomjanovich incident. On December 9, 1977, the Rockets and Lakers were facing off in a heated game. Kevin Cunnert and Kermit Washington got into a brawl while fighting for a rebound. Rudy Tomjanovich, being the peacekeeper he was, ran off the bench to break them up. But then, out of nowhere, Washington turned and punched Tomjanovich in the face, leaving him unconscious and bloody on the court. Tomjanovich suffered a fractured face and was out for the rest of the season. Meanwhile, Washington received a 60-day suspension and a hefty $10,000 fine. Lucky for him, he wasn't banned from the NBA, but he definitely could have been. After the incident, the NBA cracked down on court fights, introducing strict rules and harsh penalties. So you can thank or blame Washington and Tomjanovich for the lack of brawls in today's NBA. But wait, there's more! In 2017, Washington pled guilty to stealing from his own charity. Yeah, you heard that right. The guy who sucker punched a fellow player and caused a league-wide crackdown on fights was also stealing from charity. Talk about a real winner. But one player that had a real problem with winning was Michael Jordan. Yep, I'm talking about his infamous gambling problems. He might just be the greatest basketball player of all time, but even the GOAT has his flaws. And for MJ, it was his love of gambling. Once MJ's reputation as a high-stakes gambler began to make headlines, the NBA was under pressure to investigate the issue. But let's be real. Michael Jordan was the golden boy of basketball, the king of endorsements, and the face of the league. So the NBA decided to sweep it under the rug and pretend everything was hunky-dory. But conspiracy theorists aren't buying it. Some people believe that David Stern, the NBA commissioner at the time, secretly met with Jordan and asked him to take a break from basketball until things calmed down. A sort of unofficial suspension, if you will. And what do you know? Jordan announced his first retirement from basketball soon after. Coincidence? Maybe. Or perhaps there was more to the story than meets the eye. I mean, let's think about it. Actually suspending Jordan would have been a PR nightmare for the NBA and could have tarnished MJ's perfect image. So a little vacation from basketball seemed like the perfect solution. But nothing could fix the image of Tim Hardaway Sr. In a 2007 interview with Dan Le Batard, Hardaway revealed that he hates gay people and is homophobic. Yikes! He even went as far as saying that if he found out he had a gay teammate, he would try to get them fired. As expected, the backlash was swift, and Hardaway lost his job as chief basketball operations advisor for the CBA's Indiana Alley Cats. And to add insult to injury, the NBA also banned him from all All-Star activities that same week. I mean, come on, Timmy, did you really think that kind of talk was gonna fly? But wait, there's a glimmer of hope. The very next day, Hardaway publicly apologized for his ignorant comments, and it didn't stop there. Hardaway actually became an advocate for LGBTQ+ rights, working with organizations like the Trevor Project and the Yes Institute. I guess there's hope for redemption after all. And it seems like Hardaway is doing pretty well for himself nowadays. He's been an assistant coach for the Detroit Pistons since 2014. While he's been doing a lot better, the same can't be said for Gilbert Arenas. And by that, I mean he literally brought guns to the Verizon Center. Yeah, you heard me right. Guns! Like, what was he thinking? That's against NBA rules and Washington, D.C. laws, man. Not to mention, it's just plain stupid and dangerous. Apparently, he got into an argument with Javaris Crittenton and JaVale McGee over a game of bouret. And get this, Crittenton allegedly threatened Arenas with gunfire. Not cool, man. Not cool. So, a few days later, Arenas brings 4 unloaded guns into the Wizards' locker room with a note telling Crittenton to pick one. Like, what? That's some messed up stuff. And it gets worse, because Crittenton reportedly responded by pulling his own weapons in the locker room. What is wrong with these guys? Naturally, the NBA investigated the events and suspended Arenas for this. Yeah, that's not a good look for the league. Eventually, he was suspended for the remainder of the 2009-2010 season. And as if that wasn't bad enough, he was also sentenced to 4 years probation and 30 days in a halfway house for violating gun possession laws. Crittenton, on the other hand, didn't fare any better. He was also suspended for the remainder of the season and was given a year of probation on a misdemeanor gun possession charge. And now, he's serving a 23-year sentence for voluntary manslaughter with a weapon and aggravated assault with a firearm. Who could have seen that coming? But he's not the only one who can't keep his temper in check. Remember Latrell Sprewell's choking incident? We all know that some basketball players can get a little intense, but Latrell Sprewell took it to a whole new level during a practice with the Golden State Warriors in 1997. Apparently, he wasn't in the mood to take criticism from head coach PJ Carlesimo, and things escalated quickly. Sprewell reportedly told Carlesimo to back off, but the coach didn't listen. Next thing you know, Sprewell is threatened to kill the man and grabbing him by the throat. He kept his hands on Carlesimo's throat for a good 10 to 15 seconds before other players intervened and pulled him away. But that's not all. Sprewell actually came back to the court 20 minutes later and punched Carlesimo. Thankfully, it was just a glancing blow. But still, as you might expect, this little incident didn't go over well with the NBA. Sprewell was suspended for the rest of the season, which meant he missed out on a total of 68 games. Oof. And let's be real, when you're a 4-time All-Star, missing that many games is a pretty big deal. That's all I had for the biggest scandals in NBA history.